All right, guys, it's Mr. Ferguson here. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to Central North Carolina. Today is the experiment. We're starting it off. Today's date is, actually, my buddy Randy's here. What's today's date? April 26th. Today's April 26th. We're starting the experiment. I'll show you the grass plugs here in a second. But what is the experiment? We're going to explain the process. It's going to be exactly like Alan Hain did his process. We're just recreating it here with these 4 items. We've got a total of 6 of these. I actually bought these. I was just telling Randy, I just bought these on Amazon. Something like 20 bucks, 22 bucks. I got 6 total. You can get up to 50, something like that. It was a big number. I've watered each of them one time equally, of the 6. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking these plugs. These are going to be our test examples for the sand over here. We'll explain why we're using sand in a second, but it's very easy. We would have to do fescue. I would love to see this test on fescue, but I looked for fescue plugs that don't exist. I looked for sod, not going down that road. We're not getting too technical about all of this, but this was easy to just get shipped to me straight from Amazon. So it's very simple. We'll do the same test with Augustine like Alan Hain did. But if we were going to do fescue, we would have to seed it. It would take so much longer. Then we had to grow it, make sure we had enough seed. We got more seed than others. It would just be crazy. So we're not going down that road. We'll just use, quote, equal sod plugs, and they all look very similar. So there's our test subjects right there. So the next thing we're doing is, why are we using sand? I've already heard people asking me that question. Well, sand has no nutritional value in it. It's just sand. It's very loose, so there's no compaction there. So the roots, when we begin to water it, or if the natural rain comes and hits it, the roots can dive down in sand very easily. And the only nutrients that's going to be applied to those grass plugs in sand is what you apply it yourself. There's nothing from the dirt that's going to help the plant. So in our test here, we're doing green pop, which is a starter fert way over here. You guys have seen this actually, well, at the time of this filming, we just applied this to our church project lawn, but this is a starter fert 1621-2. So this is a starter fertilizer, nutrients. We are going to be applying nutrients to this plug specifically to see how it reacts. Clearly with starter fertilizer, I would imagine that we're going to get top growth. We're going to get some green up and probably some growth on top, as well as growth in the bottom with the 21% phosphorus. We'll find out. The next one is CK. This is the one that I'm very anxious to see. This is sea kelp in a bottle that comes from the ocean. We've talked about this a lot. This is a stress reducer, bloom, and root. So it's supposed to fatten up the roots of this plant to be able to not maybe go deeper, maybe go wider. We'll see if sea kelp does the same thing. We've got RGS, which has got humic acid and less sea kelp. So the CK is actually mostly sea kelp, if not all sea kelp. RGS has a portion of sea kelp in it, but it also has humic acid. So we're going to be doing RGS. I would think this is similar to CK. We'll see. It's got less sea kelp, so we'll see. That's why we want to test that. And obviously, we're not pouring the whole bottle in there. We'll do the rates here in a second. I'll let you guys know. And then this last one, we're doing water only. It won't be this bottle of water. It just represents water. But we'll just dip it in a gallon of straight water. So how are we going to apply the rates? So we have a bucket here. We're going to do it exactly like Alan Hain. I think that process that he did worked out well. Each plug here, we're going to mix in a gallon of water with the product with it. So for example, I know I just used green pop the other day. The recommended amount is 15 ounces. So we're going to take 128 ounces, which equals a gallon, subtract 15, pour that in here, then add the 15 ounces of green pop, swish that around, mix it up. We're going to take our grass plug, we're going to dip it, and then we're going to score the bottom of the plant and put it in our sand and give it 1 cup of 8 ounces of water and pour that over top. Each one will get poured in to simulate watering in the product, and then we're going to let nature take it from there. If it looks like they're dying, they're struggling, we may add water in between, but I'm going to let this run for about a month. So if we don't get a lot of natural rain, we may water them equally. But other than that, we'll let the natural rain water them. So hopefully that makes sense. Now the rates, we'll do the minimum. We'll do the minimal amount of rates for each one. Like it's going to be 15 for the green pop. For CK, it is 0.5 ounces. So we're going to do 0.5 mixed into a gallon of water. For the RGS, we'll do the minimum, which is 3 ounces per 1,000. So we'll just add 3 ounces into a gallon of water. And then with water, obviously, it's just going to be a gallon of water. We'll dip the plug into a gallon of water, put it there, and we'll water it. We're going to do it equally. So that's what you'll be seeing me do here in just a second. We'll kind of fast forward it here, and we will do that process, get them into the dirt and label them, and then it'll just be a matter of time. So once we get that done, we'll just kind of recap it, and then we'll see you in a month. All right, guys, so as we just mentioned, we dipped each one equally in the respective product: water only, RGS, CK, and then green pop starter fert. So we got 4 test subjects here. So the last part to simulate watering the product in, we dipped them. I went plant all the way to the bottom in 1 gallon of water with the mix included. So it was all a gallon of water for each one of them. And so we've dipped them. Now we're going to simulate watering it in. So I'm going to do my best to hit 8 ounces on each one of these, roughly. You know, it's not going to be perfect. All right, so now the last part I'll do off camera is simply put a piece of duct tape around each one of them and label, you know, water only, RGS, CK, and green pop. So we've measured it all in. I got all my stuff I can put back in the shed. So there we have it. So we've started the experiment again, whatever I said, April, whatever date. My phone's on being used as this. So here we go. So now they're going to sit right here equally. I'll take them off the ledge so they're sitting equally. And we'll let it go for 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks. And we're not going to update. We're just going to come back and finish this video and see what we got. Let's see if CK, RGS, green pop make a huge difference in comparison to water only. What will happen? Not sure, but I'll see you in a month. All right, guys, so I'm inserting a change. Actually, it's not really a change. It's an addition to the experiment. We did this. We started this on Friday, April the 25th. Today is Tuesday, April the 30th. I'm doing an extra pot of sand and sod plant because of one of ours, and that would be, and I don't want to show you the results right now, but I just want to explain to you, and I'll show you the one that we're doing. I've labeled them by date, all the ones that we did on Friday, 425, the water only, the RGS, the green pop, and the CK are marked 425 the day that we started them. We have an additional one, and that is green pop 2, because the green pop over here that I'm looking at, I've watered each of these since we've started. I've given them all equally a cup of water, just because we're not having natural rain here. So, and the green pop seems to be suffering visually, obviously because of the 15 ounces of nitrogen seems to just be way too much. I went back and watched Alan Haynes' video and said, what did I miss? Did I hear him wrong or see his wrong? He did the exact same amount and displayed that in the video. He mixed in the 1 gallon 15 ounces of green pop as well. But if you'll recall, if you watch that video, he disregarded that test because clearly he was out of town, and I think his began to burn up like what I'm seeing mine do. It's shriveling up. It's clearly too much nitrogen for this little sod square plug. So I've done green pop number 2. Added that bucket to the list so that it'll be 3 days behind the other ones, but I mixed 3 ounces of green pop into the gallon of water, dipped it, put it in the sand, gave it a cup of water, simulating watering in. So it is now starting 3 days late. It's got less water added to it, and it was only dipped in 3 ounces of starter fertilizer rather than the 15. So I still got the original green pop 15 ounce plug going. I'm not going to quit it. If it smokes it all out, then it will show you in the 3 week period. But we started a new green pop 3 days later to see, okay, now with the more appropriate amount or maybe less nitrogen, does that make a difference? I wanted to give you that caveat, and now for you guys, you're going to see hopefully the results of the test right now. All right, guys, so welcome to June 4th, 2024. We went through all of a month and a little bit over. We went for all through May, and now we're in the beginning part of June. Today is June 4th. So we're going to show you the results here in just a second. Again, well, I have to remember, you've already seen the first part of this where we set up the experiment. So let's go through. I'm going to put these guys in order in front of the product that we supplied to them, and let's go over the top visual growth of what we see before we get rid of the sand and take a look at the roots themselves. We'll do these one by one, and I want to be able to show you up close. I'll show you right here, and then we're going to place it in the proper category. So we'll start with, let's start with water only. So water only, and these are kind of heavy, so I'm not going to hold them forever, but water only, we've got this one. That looks pretty good. We've got some growth coming off the side of it right here. I just want to show this to you up close. I'm not going to hold it the whole time, but water only looks pretty good. And I'll place it over here so you can see it maybe a little bit better. We do have some browning. We had a bunch, as I've told you guys over the last several months with the videos, we've had lots of rain. Whatever fell on these guys as well. They've been sitting pretty much in the middle of my patio. One of the things that may skew our experiment here, this is not scientific. I'm not for a college. This is just a backyard experiment. So please take this for what it is. We're not going to be biased. We're not going to lean towards one thing or another. But the water only in the top looks pretty good. There is some discolorization here. But on the top, we do have some growth here. It does look like it's branching off. When I feel it, it feels really firm. The stolons that are coming off of these things and the shoots and stuff. And so anyways, water only looks pretty good. The next one we'll go to in order, we'll just do green pop. Now, here's the original green pop. This is green pop that I showed you guys. We even did a video on this one to show you that I torched it with when we dipped it into the bucket. But look at it now. It bounced back. This is the original green pop from 424, 425. Just to show you that up close for a second. Now I'm going to place it down. Looking at it compared to water only, it is a darker green. It does look like there's lesions on this one. Water only doesn't seem to have any lesions on the blade itself. There does, obviously we dipped this in, we mixed the 15 ounces per the label in a gallon of water. We dipped it, took it out, placed it in the sand. I showed you guys, I later did a video showing you I torched it, but since then there is dead grass and material, it looks like at the bottom, but it's come alive, and there are shoots coming off of this, but not like water only. So if I had to say, as far as broad plug, I think water wins with this plug with this stolon coming off the side. This doesn't really have that. It's got one starting right here, but all in all, this is a darker green than this one. So that is green pop number one, the original one we did. We also did a green pop because I thought I torched that. I said, I'm just going to keep it and let it go. I didn't trash it. We did a green pop too. What I did was take about 3 ounces, throw it in a gallon of water, dipped it and took it out. So we did like half the rate. Here's what that one looks like. This is from 4:30. This was 5 days after we did the project. This is what this one looks like. And this one, I would say out of the three, the water only, the green pop 1 and the green pop 2, this one looks like it's filled up the pot the most. It has lots of legs coming off here. It is definitely filling up the top of the basket here the most. There is some die off down at the bottom. Some of this feels really firm. The color looks good. I would say green pop 1 actually looks a little bit darker than green pop 2. Green pop 2 compared to water only, again, we've got some yellowing on the blades of water only. I don't have that. Well, we do have that some on the green pop 2 as well, but it looks like the nutrients from the green pop definitely has sparked growth. The nitrogen has definitely ignited this a little more than the water only, but it's not a huge difference, but there is a difference there. Next, let's talk about Mr. RGS. So here is RGS. RGS is looking a little sad. I'm kind of surprised. Again, we dipped this in, I believe, 3 to 5 ounces. I can't recall. This was on the 25th of April. There's to show you that. We'll set it up front. This one looks the worst. From water only to the 2 green pops to RGS only and the rainwater that it's gotten. And I have water, when I've had to water these, I've done it equally. But we definitely have some shriveling up top. We definitely have die off. We also have this crazy, I don't even know what you call this thing, like it's going to seed or something. I don't know. I've never seen this. This is not evident in any of the other ones, but it's like these shoots have come off of it, which I guess is a good thing. I'm not sure. We also have some yellowing. I don't see lesions on these, but I do have some shriveling at the end of the blade and a lot of really shriveled. parts of the St. Augustine as well. So this one definitely looks the worst out of all of them that's sitting on this table. I will say when we were getting all of the rain, I probably should have concluded the test then because they were all soaking up on the natural rain that had fallen. We've been in a dry period, so I don't know how that affects, you know, the RGS versus the other ones. The other ones, and I did water these about 2 days ago. I took or maybe last night, I can't remember, or I think it was a day or so ago. I took a cup of water and equally poured a cup into all of these to try to give them all, you know, life for this, but it looks like this one is still struggling. So RGS, though it has these weird offshoots, and I don't know what that is, I'm not a warm season person, but it looked like it's going to seed or something right here, but it definitely looks the worst. The last one, let's take a look at the top growth of CK. So here is CK up close, kind of similar to RGS. We'll set it right here. In a similar way of RGS, it does have shoots coming off on the right side closest to the edge, and it's kind of compacted in there. Nothing off on this side here. It's got similar to RGS, it has some die off, it has some browning. It's not as broad on the top as green pop or even water only. It looks like water only has kind of sprouted out and gotten larger on the top. More so, well, it may be close to equal to water only in CK. RGS seems to be the one that suffered and acted weird. Again, I don't know why that is. There could be factors of where they sit, the positioning of the sun, I don't know. But out of all of these, now that we've shown you all of these, we got 2 green pops because we thought we torched one. I think the green pop one, surprisingly, is the best as far as color. It looks the darkest. Obviously, we added nitrogen to that. The water only, surprisingly, did really well. Just adding water, there is die-off, there is discolorization, and some of the blades is yellow, but we have this offshoot, so it's clearly throwing roots out. The RGS has been the biggest disappointment as far as on the top here. It's shriveled up. I don't know why that is. Obviously, we know sand doesn't hold nutritional value, so we've given it nutrients with the fertilizer. The water has got, you know, it all receive water, but water only seems to be doing better than adding in the humic and the sea kelp. The CK definitely looks better than the RGS visually on top. It didn't do some crazy, it didn't fill the pot like it did with the green pop over here, or even water only looks like it's beginning to spread and fill the top. So there we go, that's the visual here. So now is the part where we're going to try to take a look at the roots. So what we'll do is I'll take one of these over. I'll show you the process that I'm going to do with the rest of them. We'll do one on camera. I'll take, we'll say water only. We'll take water only over to the water hose. We're going to hose out all of the sand over in that area into my grass. All the sand's going to come into the grass. We're going to try to water off the blades or the roots the best that we can and lay it out in front of the water and do that for the rest of these and then compare the roots. Will the roots match what we're seeing on the top, or will they all be the same, or will they be different? I have no idea. Let's wash off the sand and let's see what's underneath in this smaller pot. So some of it may be longer than others, but let's see what we got. All right, so I'll do my best to show you guys this process. This is what Alan did. This is what I'm going to do. And I don't know how this is going to work with a cloth grow bag here. This is the water only, and basically I'm going to give it a little bit of water, and we're going to try to just wash out this sand and move it around my lawn without making a big mess. And hopefully the sand, yeah, it seems to be just kind of flowing out. So we'll do it this way. It's actually kind of satisfying to see the sand just kind of pour out. So I'll have to just run some water back here. Oh yeah, I see some roots. Pretty cool. So it looks like this has definitely grown into the bag. That's not good. There we go. I'm definitely ruining my mow from last night. And let's see if I can pull this guy out now, to the best of my ability. It's stuck and grown into the bag, so it's going to be difficult to see exactly. Wow, that's crazy looking. Let me turn it inside out. That's almost creepy feeling. Wow, it has just grown. They're so stuck to the bag. It's just gonna have how it's gonna have to be. We got to get it out, and then let's water this down. And there we go. Kind of looks like a weird octopus. So seeing which one is actually longer is going to be difficult to do because they've grown into that. We needed to have a hard pot and a deeper pot, but there's one. So let me work on doing the rest, and we'll come back showing you the results of all of them together. All right, guys, so we've washed out all the sand, and if you've already made up your mind of, I'm not using this or that or the other, you may be surprised. Let's go over these, but let's start with water only. Water only did very well. These are some and I'm going to stand behind the camera to make sure you guys can see this up close. You saw the visual up top, that it looks really good. We do have some discolorization there, but root-wise, it is looking phenomenal. Look how deep that one is. I mean, it goes way down. So hopefully you can see that. I should probably hold it outside the camera, but that is very impressive for just water only. And it goes to show, we've said this 1,000 times on my channel, you do not have to use biostimulants to have a nice lawn. This is St. Augustine. This is a warm season grass, but this shoot that was coming off, that was coming out of the pot, you can see the tap roots, the things that are coming out. There's some dark, and I don't know the terms for all of these, but you see the white roots here that are pretty thick, white roots here, and then you got these other ones that come way down. They're pretty thick. This one is super long, and all this was over a month of rainwater, and that's it, and sunshine and some sand with no nutrients, and it did fairly well for St. Augustine. This doesn't mean it's exactly the same for fescue, exactly the same for all other grass types, but for this experiment with St. Augustine grass, that's pretty impressive for just water only. So going to be hard to beat there. So we'll set it right there. Hopefully you can still see that. Let's go with Green Pop number 1. You remember 15 ounces. I dipped it 1, 2, 3, took it out, put it in the sand. 5 days later, made a video, showed you that it was torched on top. If I have that, I'll put that right here to show you just a quick video that I was like, crap, I done burned the crap out of this plug. But I said, I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to let it continue to get sun, continue to get water, and here we are. So we washed that one out, and I want you to see the roots are absolutely pitiful. This is probably the only one, if I'm not mistaken, when I opened the bag, and this is the bag that it was in, that has no roots. There's absolutely, and that's true, there's absolutely no roots that clung to the bag. This was the only one. Water had roots clinging to the bag at the bottom. This, and remember the top, what's the top look like? The top was gorgeous, one of the best. To look at that. It's a beautiful color. It does have some lesions there on top, you can see, that could be some type of fungus maybe trying to attack it. You see where it's brown there, where it had die-off, but look at those roots. It's sad in comparison, and we washed these out. It's sad in comparison to the, and you got some decent ones right here. No stolons like coming out with more roots. Maybe this guy right here, you can see that. But very sad. They're clumpy, and we washed all these. So even just spraying it with the hose again, you can see it maybe dripping a little bit. It's just unimpressive. Again, we torched it in the beginning. It came back to life on the top, but the bottom roots were, compared to water only, look at this. Over fertilization versus water only, there's no comparison here. It was night and day. Water only wins by a mile. So if you overdo your fertilizer, you're hurting the roots that you could have had if you just put water on it only. So there's one lesson that I think would stand to be true. Comment below, like the video if you guys like these type experiments, and let's continue on. Let's go to Green Pop 2. This is the one I made this separate video on to tell you guys I torched the first guy. Remember, on top it looked impressive. Let's show you the top, because I failed to do so earlier. It looks just as good as Green Pop 1. You've got little stolons coming off on the side here. You got some roots there. It looks very good. There is some discolorization there. In the middle, you see some die off, but all in all, the color is great because obviously green pop, if I failed to mention, 1621-2 has nitrogen in it. So the top looks great. When we look at the bottom, how does that look? It looks similar to water only. Here's trying to string some of these out and straighten it like hair. I know about that living with girls. It looks 100% better, and we only did 3 to 5 ounces, dipped it and put it in sand with no nutrients. That looks completely different from green pop where we did the 15 ounces. We over fertilized, we torched it. Look at the difference there. So you're better using less fertilizer than too much fertilizer. There's another lesson. But if we fertilize correctly, it looks better than water only because the roots are everywhere coming off this plug, even some of the shoots that are offshooting, where in water, yes, it's very similar, but I think this looks better because not only does the top growth look better, it looks like the roots there's more roots here than there is with water only right here. So 3 ounces to 5 ounces of green pop, that looks, and there's some pretty long strands. And in this one, just to show you guys, it could have been even longer. It's maybe hard to see. Let me get back here. But there's roots that I couldn't even get out of the bucket. And I don't know if you can see that. It is very dark on the camera. But there's big old roots stuck to the bottom of this bag that I can still pull out. And that's same for RGS, and that's the same for green pop as well. But they could have been even longer. I don't know. But green pop 2, 3 ounces to 5 ounces per 1,000 looks fantastic. And visually on top, one of the best looking. Let's move on to RGS. This is the one we showed you when I held it up. It's kind of torched up top. It's shriveling, excuse me. It doesn't look good. We've got die off. We've got these weird seed-like offshoots here that it almost looks like it's going to seed. I don't know if that's because of stress. I would imagine that's what they say Kentucky bluegrass does when it goes to stress. But you see these seed heads right here. Hopefully that focused right there. But we've got die off. And then root-wise, I need to actually spray this one more time as well. So after spraying it root-wise, there's some deep roots, and again, I'll show you the bucket in a way. This one also has roots coming off similar to green pop. It does have roots coming off all over the place. It's not on one side or the other. Water seemed to have it mainly on one side, not so much the other. All of these are pretty deep. So let's go back here. Let's compare. So this is RGS. On this side, it's a little scandally in the roots. There's not a lot of offshoot up top like with the water only or the green pop. So there's not a lot of offshoots with roots. So there may be less roots than this one. Let's see. I think it's actually, yeah, this is definitely thicker. This is water only versus RGS. I did just wet this down. So you know how you wet hair, it kind of clumps together. This one's kind of dried out more. So, and it's curling. We got that long one. There we go. The long one from the water right there. That's super long. That is impressive with water only. Here with the RGS, yes, it's not as thick. I don't think there's as many roots. It is just as long and deep. Comparing the thickness, the best that I can, yeah, they look kind of similar. I don't see a thickness on the RGS that looks any different than the water only. It's just the top growth looks faded. The water only on the top looks better. It looks like there's more roots on the water only, and this is wet. The depth of the roots, it looks like it's one of the main things. Let's look at the green pop. Yeah, compare green pop, the depth, and this is kind of dry as well, so it's hard to tell. There's a couple that compare to RGS, but all of the RGS seem to have dove deeper. All right, I apologize for that. Hopefully I've got my hat kind of blocking the phone. We've got to hurry because the sun, I have no shelter. The sun, it's direct sunlight today. So hopefully the hat will spare us a few minutes. But to sum up RGS compared to green pop, the top, green pop wins. The bottom, the roots of the RGS definitely dove deeper and are longer in comparison with the thickness of these. You got more roots here. Looks like you have less roots with RGS, but they're all diving straight down. They're a lot longer. So cool comparison there. And then there's no comparison to RGS 1. It's just a decimation of RGS versus green pop 1 when you over fertilize. Similar with water, but the depth of RGS is further down. Moving on to CK. Lastly, let me show you this, and I can't see my camera probably because of my hat now, but CK, there's the top of it. You can see it looks pretty good. There is some die off there. There's not hardly any. The green looks really good. There's not a lot of shoots coming off of it. You got this guy over here, but there's no roots really coming off of here. There's no broadening of the plant as far as on the surface like there was in comparison to something like green pop here. You can see, look at that. It's just night and day. This is way, the nutrients in the fertilizer expanded that plant way out. This one kind of stayed in a smaller circular pattern. Root wise, to show you all, this is dried out a little bit since our camera cut off. It is still sandy, but look at the thickness. There's a long one right here off the offshoot here. So there is a little offshoot here with roots coming down. Now, when I compare this with RGS, RGS seems to have actually dove deeper down into the pot, but with the CK, it is 100% thicker. There's a lot of roots, so it's all down here. It definitely told it to go down, and all the growth went down here, not up here, but down here. So you've got a lot of, and this is super thick down here. You've got a lot of stringy. It is thicker on one side than this left side, and clearly, of all the times a freaking plane flies over. But you can see on this side where it had died off, and I'm trying to step back here where I can see what I'm filming. You see where this is brown right here? Well, on this side, the roots are limited. There's hardly anything. But over here where we have all the growth and it started to take off, look at that. They're so thick, thick roots. Look at that thick taproot right there coming off this stolon. So they're just so, you know, and it's still kind of sandy, but they're not, and there's some long ones in there. If I pull down, it's actually shrunk up. There's some pretty long roots there. So a very cool experiment comparing this to water only. Let's see, water only versus CK. It looks like the water only definitely had more roots. The thickness seems to be similar. This is thicker where we got root growth right here. It's thicker than water, but water seems to be, look at that long water one. That's impressive. Water only did that. That's insane. So does CK help? I think it does to thicken up the roots and put more roots down. I would say RGS is actually, it helped as well. It didn't help with our top growth. For some reason, it may have hurt it on the top growth. I don't know why that is, but the roots, it's starting to shrivel up now because it's dry, but the roots dove straight down, and it's not as thick looking as water only, but it's longer when we do side by side. Water has one long one or two, but RGS has a bunch that are really super long, so I don't think it's a waste at all with RGS. But it's weird because water only, you get a decent looking top growth. You get this offshoot over here that did pretty well for whatever reason. I don't know. The conditions were the same, but you have this offshoot and it dropped some anchor, and they're pretty deep. But even on this side where you have decent growth, you don't have as much roots coming off. You do have roots here, but they're not like super long like with the RGS. With green pop, they're just shorter. They're thick, but they're not nearly as long. There is one long one here. There's one decently long one here. It's a more even, you know, the nutrients seem to evenly all around the bottom of this plug. There's roots everywhere, and they're pretty decent, but they're not super long. So it's almost like if you had a fertilizer and you mix the fertilizer with the CK and combine those, how would that react? That would have been a cool test as well. Green pop mixed with CK, would you have this thickness of the roots at a further depth? That's what we want. So very interesting. And then of course, if we over fertilize and we burn it, yes, it still survived and came back, but these are still, even though it's dried, they're shriveled up. They're not happy. I don't even know how this guy's alive, but it did have some roots, but you can see the difference there. Nothing long, nothing thick, shriveled up, burned, just not a happy plant there. So you be the judge. Here's RGS again and CK pretty equal. I think RGS had to take this time for whatever reason. We did apply a little bit more. We only did 0.5 ounces of the CK, which is label rate. We did like 3 to 5 ounces of the RGS. So again, you be the judge. So as I just grabbed the camera real fast, but you be the judge. You know, is it worth it? Do I still think it's worth it to do RGS and CK? I do, because to me, looking at this, and again, there's still some roots in the pots, in these cloth pots. Here's the CK that you can't, that I couldn't even get out. So how would that, see all those roots that that I'm shortchanging CK is in other words. I'm glad I showed you this because you might be walking away saying, ah, see, I told you it's a scam. CK doesn't work. But I mean, all of these roots down here that, whoops, that's an empty bottle almost. But look, all of those roots down there that should be connected to something here would make them extremely longer than RGS. And then when we look at the bag of RGS in here, this may be the one that's super sandy. You do have some roots in there. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Yeah, there's a lot of roots in there. It doesn't look as thick. They look smaller. There is a long, thick one in there that's, you know, where was that attached on this guy? Could it have been one of the longer ones that I cut short? Absolutely. But in the CK, look at how thick those guys are. Those are thicker bad boy roots for the CK. So I absolutely think CK got shortchanged. If I had like a 3 to 4 foot pot, that would probably make a difference when we wash it out. It would stay connected to the plant. That's going to determine a lot in your decision making. So it's up to you. And then over here with the one that we burned, I just want to show you this again. There's no roots in there. There's, yeah, look, there's like four little baby roots in this bag right here. Nothing for the first green pop. The other green pop that's super bushy and looks really well, there are some in here as well. So look at all those roots from the nutrients of the second green pop, the 3 to 5 ounce one. There's some bad boy roots looking in there as well with the sand. So it got shortchanged just a little bit in this experiment. And then water only had some. I didn't keep that pot because we did that first, but look at that. Let me get my shadow out. It looks really good. So if you're saying, I don't need any of those products, I'm going to do water only, your lawn's going to be fine. If you choose to go CK with all of these roots, I think you're going to get those roots deeper. You make your own decision and let me know your comments below. This is the first time I've done anything like this. So of course, I know 1,000 people are going to suggest you should have done this, you should have done that. It's a lot of work. It took time to put all this together. So I hope you've enjoyed it and got something out of it. And I hope it just kind of shows you the difference in how fertilizing versus not fertilizing, CK versus RGS, water only, all of these, comparing these, you know, what is your determination? Let me know in the comments below, and let's be open-minded and fair. I'm not doubting if you don't buy any of these ever, you don't fertilize it, water only looks pretty good, but there are benefits. You saw root-wise benefits to all of these products, I believe. And then if we combine some of these, if we're doing green pop and we're doing RGS and we're doing CK, and you combine that, that would have been a great experiment now that I've done this to see how they all compare to water only. Is it a contest or not? So God bless you. Super long video. Give me a thumbs up. Give me some encouragement down there. If you like these type videos, like the video, share it with your buddies, and let me know your thoughts. If you want to become a member, check that out in the description. If you want to try out some of these products and do your own test, check out the description. We have links in the description, and we hope to see you on the next lawn care video from Central North Carolina. God bless you.